My wife and I have been together for almost 4 years, and we got married earlier this year. Last week, I found out that she's been having an emotional affair with a man for at least 6 months, and a physical affair for the last 2 months. She said he was the only man she had ever done anything like this with, and it was a huge mistake. I've gone through their messages, and none of them ever indicated remorse or guilt for what she was doing. Our marriage is less than 5 months old, so we're literally in the honeymoon phase. If she's stepping outside marriage already, what hope is there when we're 5 years down the road? I do not want to do this anymore. I don't want to see her face, but we're stuck in a house together. I sent her out to the guest bedroom last night and have made it clear I want her out. She's begging me not to let her go, and she wants to talk about it and go to therapy. I've refused to hear her side of things. She has been insistent I hear her side of the story. I do not know anything she will ever say that will change how I feel about her. We haven't been married half a year, for Christ's sake. I'd really need advice. Edit. I'll be contacting a lawyer in the morning. I'd look into getting an annulment as opposed to a divorce. Update. I contacted an attorney. Where I'm from, South Carolina, I'm able to file for an annulment as long as I can prove my marriage is void. My lawyer has advised me to gather as much proof of the affair as possible. I already have screenshots of the chats between them, which include them exchanging nudes, which happened since before our marriage, to them discussing the instances they had sex. I'm going to forward them to my lawyer to get a look. I have not told my wife about meeting the lawyer, or that I'm interested in going separate ways. She still keeps insisting we work things out, though her desire to stay together seems to be driven by her unwillingness to face her parents. They're strict Catholics and have a very strict view of life, which I'm sure does not include cheating on your new husband. Last night, I went through her phone again while she was in the shower and found out that she had sent nudes to 2 other men this year. I confronted her and she said she had forgotten to tell me about them and that the only reason she sent them was because she didn't feel appreciated by me. I took the screenshots and sent them to my phone. I'm being indifferent around my wife, and somehow she's got in her head that we're reconciling. I'm not going to set her right. My plan is to serve her the annulment papers at her parents' house next week. Update 2. It's been nearly a month since my last post. I had the court papers served to my wife last weekend. We drove over to her parents' place during the weekend because my wife wanted to check up on them. My wife was still under the impression we were together and working on our marriage. She was seeing a counselor and said she was making tremendous progress. I never said or did anything to give her the impression, so that's all on her. We finished having dinner and we were making small talk. Her parents started asking in their roundabout way whether we were ready to be parents yet. I said no, especially more so since we're separating. I told them of my wife's affair and told them that I had the summons and the petition in my car. My wife started silently crying and her father just looked on with a sad look. After that, I gave them the papers and took my car and left. My wife is upset with me. She says I took away her autonomy by confessing to her parents. She says I should have consulted her and had her consent before doing so because it was about her life. I asked her why she didn't take my consent before she got into bed with another man and put me at risk of potentially getting an STD. Isn't that taking away my bodily autonomy? She maintains that I've ruined her life by my actions. I don't care, to be honest. I heard her parents pretty much forced her out and she's at her sister's place, but these are the consequences of her own actions. We do not have any assets. Our lease will end in August, and I assume it'll be a clean break. I guess I should feel good, but I don't. I feel like a sore loser who wasted so many years and walking away with nothing. We were supposed to build a life together, grow old together, watch our children grow old together. What do I do to feel good again? How do I feel like myself again? I'd really like some support. Story 2. I'm not really sure where to start. I've been lurking since Friday since we decided divorce was the option, and I've decided to post my own story. I'm so confused right now that I'm not even sure what I'm looking for. Advice, validation, I really don't know. I, 34 male, have been married to my wife, 37 female, for coming up to 5 years, together for 13. We have 2 junior school-aged children, and Friday night we both said we want to divorce. We each have our own story. Here's mine. For the last 2 years, things have been rocky in parts. Several times throughout the 2 years, there have been several instances where she has lied and done things behind my back that we both consider inappropriate for married couples. Things like being on dating sites, sexting other people, meeting people in person, still maintains no actual affair or sex, lying and deceiving. Every time this has happened, it has been me who has discovered it, never from being told honestly about it. When confronted with evidence, GPS, pictures of the messages, etc., she ends up denying it first and then breaking down and telling me how sorry she was and that she wants to work on it. Then we have a couple of good months. Then I discover that she's back to the same old routine. Now, throughout the last year, I've been absolutely paranoid to the point of asking to look at phones, accounts, etc. She's become so good at hiding things, but I always find out, be it hidden Facebook accounts, email addresses, profile pages. I've hated living life like this. Ironically, this is one of the reasons she wants to divorce. My reason is the trust is absolutely gone, and I wouldn't even know where to begin building it back. From my understanding, this is gaslighting. Now that we're talking divorce, she's telling me she no longer loves me or is attracted to me, and she feels relieved that this is happening. She says that the things she has done in the past were bad, and they were her way to make herself feel better for staying in a marriage for the children. I spoke to her about this and asked, did she love me when we were married? And she says yes. She says this has been happening for the last couple of years. 2 years ago, she spoke to her mom and said she was planning on leaving me. Her mom gave her some advice and basically told her to work at it. I assume that is why we are now where we are. I wish she had spoken to me about it 2 years ago before any of this happened. Maybe we could have figured out the problem and worked on it. There are other elements to this story. She has suffered from serious depression for some years. On several occasions, has built up huge secret debts with online shopping, etc. I sometimes wonder if this is all related. Every time something has happened and it's all come out, I've been the one giving the chances and wanting to work on it. I just feel like I have no more energy to do this anymore. I feel awful. I feel terrible for my children. I'm dreading telling them. I know this has to happen and I want this, but the process is so intimidating. I've spent the last few nights barely sleeping, not eating, just sad. Anyway, that's my story in a nutshell. For the first time in a long time, I don't know what's next, and that scares me. Update. Those familiar with my story may remember that my D-Day was February 14th, 2018, Valentine's Day. What followed was near enough a year of me trying to reconcile with the newly acquired knowledge that my ex-wife was a serial cheater and chronic narcissist. Reconciliation ended in January 2019 when I filed for divorce. Many things happened in that year of reconciliation, mostly bad, some good. We had a nice holiday to the USA with the kids and family. I did well at work. Kids were doing well at school. I had a new kitchen installed for my house. Phone numbers kept popping up in call history for one of the APs. Driving past one of the AP's girlfriend's house. Rug sweeping. In the end, I called time on it. I didn't want to live always looking over my shoulder. Ex-wife tainted all the memories of the good times we had together. I felt nothing for her. Indifference. My divorce was final on February 14th, 2020, Valentine's Day. Exactly 2 years to the day of D-Day. Post-separation self-worth. When I separated and instructed my solicitor in January 2019, I did everything I could to get back some of the self-worth that had been lost over the past few years. Pretty much all of the advice I'd seen on this sub. Some worked really well. I went to the gym and ate well, lost nearly 2 st of weight and went from a size 38 waist to a 34 inch. This was probably the biggest contributor to my happiness at that time. I felt happy with my weight for the first time in years. I got a whole new wardrobe. Gone were the joggers and scruffy tees. Bought some nice new clothes that fit well and made me feel good. I've never been into fashion, but it's amazing what a new wardrobe can do for your self-esteem. Besides, I'm follically challenged, shaved head, so it's not like I could go out and get a new haircut. Got onto internet dating. This one caused me my first challenge. Internet dating was a first for me. I'd been in my relationship for over 13 years, so I missed the whole internet dating boom. With my fresh wardrobe and newly acquired dad bod, I prefer the term father figure, I put myself out there. I met a few people, had a whole lot of fun, which helped my self-esteem. However, I did find I had issues in the beginning with ED. I've posted separately about this, which you can find in my history. This took me by surprise surprise, as I've never experienced it in the past and have always been highly driven. I never quite got to the bottom of why, but I figured it was performance anxiety. I ended up getting a couple boxes of tadalafil from the doctor, which helped. After the first couple of times, the anxiety subsided, and now, no more issues. I spent lots of quality time with my kids. This was a no-brainer. I knew a hard discussion was coming up with them, so I threw myself into dadding like never before. This was, and still is, when I'm at my happiness. Another challenge coming up, and we did everything from trips away camping and caravanning to trips out locally for fun. We were out of the house first thing in the morning and back last thing at night. They love this, and I use the opportunity to better myself as a dad. However, my ex-wife sees this. She knows this is how she can make me hurt. More on this for my next update. I met my new SO, funnily enough, through Tinder. By this point in time, I was in a good position mentally to move into a relationship. And although at the time my divorce wasn't final and X and I were still cohabiting, we both went into the relationship with total transparency and honesty, and she was fortunately very patient and understanding, something I'd long forgotten existed. My solicitor emailed me my divorce completion on Valentine's Day while I was on a break with my girlfriend in Paris. We had a drink to celebrate. I hope the irony isn't lost on my ex-wife. It isn't lost on me. I'm glad everything worked out for you in the end. You're a solid parent, unlike your ex-wife, and your kids love you. Your mental health is better. You're in a new, healthy relationship, and you're traveling the world and enjoying the things you love doing. That sounds like a wonderful life after everything your ex put you through. Meanwhile, your ex threw away her stable family for an AP that had several other girlfriends. Pretty sure she's out the affair fog now and regrets everything. Oh well, it's too late now, isn't it? Just keep living the best life you can, OP, and little by little, push your ex out of your mind completely.